What's up, Wrestling-verse family? Welcome back to the channel. Today is a different kind of video. Today, we're not here to talk about wins and losses, championships and rivalries. Today, we come together as a wrestling community to remember, to honor, and to celebrate an incredible talent who left us far too soon. Before we continue, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This is a conversation that matters, and your support means everything as we navigate this difficult topic together. Today, we're talking about how WWE and Triple H have been mourning the loss of Wyndham Rotunda, known to millions around the world as Bray Wyatt, and his unforgettable alter ego, the Fiend. This is a story about creativity, passion, and the lasting impact one performer can have on an entire industry. Let's take a moment to reflect on this together. When the wrestling world learned of Wyndham Rotunda's passing in August 2023, the shockwaves were felt everywhere. This wasn't just the loss of a wrestler. This was the loss of a creative genius, a devoted father, a beloved friend, and someone who fundamentally changed what was possible in professional wrestling. Triple H, now the chief content officer of WWE, was among the first to express his grief. The game had worked closely with Wyndham throughout his career, particularly during the creation and evolution of the Fiend character. Their professional relationship had grown into genuine friendship and mutual respect. In statements released after the news broke, Triple H spoke about Wyndham's incredible creativity and his dedication to his craft. He described him as someone who was always thinking, always creating, always pushing boundaries. These weren't just corporate statements. You could feel the genuine emotion and loss behind the words. WWE as a company went into mourning. Shows were dedicated to his memory. Tributes poured in from every corner of the wrestling world. But what made this different was how personal it felt. This wasn't just the company mourning a former employee. This was a family mourning one of their own. Let's talk about why the Fiend character was so special and why its loss, along with its creator, hit so hard. The Fiend was unlike anything WWE had ever presented before. When Bray Wyatt returned to WWE programming in 2019 with the Firefly Funhouse segments, fans were intrigued. But when the Fiend emerged, jaws dropped. This wasn't just a scary character. This was art, psychology, and horror cinema brought to life in a wrestling ring. The mask alone was a masterpiece. The design, the details, the way it transformed under different lighting. Wyndham worked closely with designer Jason Baker to create something truly unique. Every element had meaning, every detail told a story. But it wasn't just about looking scary. The Fiend represented something deeper. It was about inner demons, about the darkness that exists within all of us, about transformation and the duality of human nature. Wyndham wasn't just playing a character. He was creating modern mythology. Triple H understood this immediately. As someone who had always appreciated the theatrical side of wrestling, he recognized that Wyndham was doing something special. The game gave him creative freedom to explore, to experiment, to push boundaries that WWE had rarely pushed before. The entrance alone was mesmerizing. The lights, the music, the presentation. Every time the Fiend appeared, it felt like an event. Children covered their eyes. Adults sat in stunned silence. This was wrestling transcending its traditional boundaries and becoming something more. Triple H has spoken in interviews about how Wyndham would come to him with ideas, with concepts, with visions of where the Fiend could go. These weren't just pitches about matches and wins. These were elaborate stories about psychology, about meaning, about connecting with audiences on a deeper level. The matches themselves were different too. The red light matches, while controversial among some fans, were attempts to create a different atmosphere, a different experience. Not everything worked perfectly, but the ambition, the willingness to try something new, that's what made it special. Think about the Fiend's feuds. The program with Daniel Bryan. The encounters with Seth Rollins. The historic match with John Cena at WrestleMania 36, which was essentially a cinematic horror film disguised as a wrestling match. These weren't just matches, they were experiences. Triple H championed these creative approaches. He understood that in an era where fans have seen everything, you need to give them something they've never seen before. The Fiend was that something special. Now, in the time since Wyndham's passing, we've seen how deeply his loss has affected WWE and Triple H personally. Triple H has mentioned Wyndham in multiple interviews and media appearances. Not with obligation, but with genuine emotion. He talks about the conversations they had, the dreams Wyndham had for his characters, the stories he wanted to tell. You can hear the sadness in his voice, the weight of losing someone so talented so young. WWE has honored his memory in numerous ways. At major events, there have been moments of recognition. The company has made it clear that Wyndham Rotunda's contributions to WWE will never be forgotten. His legacy is permanently etched into the history of professional wrestling. The wrestling community has also rallied around his family. Wyndham's father, Mike Rotunda, his brother Bo Dallas, his uncle Barry Windham, all legends in their own right, have received tremendous support from WWE and the wrestling world. Triple H has been part of ensuring that Wyndham's family knows how much he meant to everyone. What makes this particularly poignant is that Wyndham was in discussions about returning to WWE before his passing. Triple H had expressed interest in working with him again. There were ideas, concepts, possibilities for what could have been. Those conversations will now remain forever in the realm of what might have been. The void left by Wyndham's absence is palpable. WWE has incredible talent, amazing performers who create memorable characters. But there was something about Wyndham's mind, his creativity, his ability to think outside every conventional box, that made him irreplaceable. Triple H has acknowledged this in his comments. He's said that Wyndham was one of a kind, that his creative mind was unlike anything he'd seen in the business. That's high praise coming from someone who's worked with literally hundreds of performers over decades in the industry. Let's also talk about the impact The Fiend had on the wrestling industry as a whole. Other promotions took notice of what WWE was doing with this character. The cinematic approach, the horror elements, the psychological depth, these became templates that others studied and learned from. Wyndham's influence extended far beyond just his own performances. Young wrestlers coming up through the system now see what's possible when you combine creativity with performance. The Fiend showed that you don't have to fit into a traditional mold, that wrestling can be whatever you have the imagination and courage to make it. Merchandise featuring The Fiend became some of the best-selling items in WWE history. The masks, the shirts, the collectibles, fans couldn't get enough. This wasn't just about supporting a wrestler, it was about being part of something unique and special. Triple H has noted that Wyndham's business mind was as sharp as his creative mind. He understood branding, understood how to connect with audiences across multiple platforms. The Firefly Funhouse wasn't just entertaining, it was strategic in how it built the character and the mythology. The fan art that emerged around The Fiend was incredible. Artists from around the world created tributes, interpretations, and celebrations of the character. That's when you know something has transcended wrestling and become part of popular culture. Triple H recognized this and appreciated how Wyndham had created something that resonated so deeply. Now, as we move forward without Wyndham, the question becomes, how do we honor his legacy properly? Triple H has been thoughtful about this. He understands that the best way to honor Wyndham is to continue pushing creative boundaries, to give performers the freedom to create and explore, to not be afraid of trying something different even if it might not work perfectly. WWE has made efforts to preserve The Fiend's legacy without exploiting it. They've featured the character in documentaries and retrospectives with respect and dignity. They've allowed fans to celebrate what the character meant without turning it into a cash grab. The wrestling school that Triple H oversees, the WWE Performance Center, now serves as a place where Wyndham's creative approach is discussed and studied. Not to copy him, because he was unique, but to inspire the next generation to think differently, to be bold, to create fearlessly. There have been discussions within WWE about how to appropriately honor Wyndham's memory at major events. A Hall of Fame induction is inevitable and will be a celebration of everything he accomplished. When that day comes, it will be emotional but also a proper recognition of his contributions. Triple H has made it clear that Wyndham's children will always have a place in the WWE family. That support, that continuation of family legacy, means everything. It's about more than just business, it's about taking care of people you care about. The creative team at WWE now asks themselves what Wyndham would think about ideas and concepts. That's perhaps the highest compliment, when someone's creative vision becomes a standard by which others measure their own work. As fans, we also have a role in preserving this legacy. We do it by remembering the joy the Fiend brought us. We do it by rewatching those incredible moments and appreciating the artistry. We do it by supporting his family and keeping his memory alive through respectful celebration. The wrestling business is unique in how it bonds performers and fans together. We invite wrestlers into our homes every week. We become invested in their stories, their characters, their journeys. When we lose someone, especially someone as young and talented as Wyndham, that loss is felt deeply by everyone. Triple H's mourning of the Fiend and Wyndham Rotunda represents something larger than just professional grief. It represents the loss of possibilities, of stories untold, of creative visions unrealized. But it also represents gratitude for what we did get to experience. Wrestling vs. Family, the impact of Wyndham Rotunda and the Fiend character will be felt for generations. Young wrestlers growing up now will cite him as an inspiration. Creative minds in entertainment will study what he accomplished. And fans will always remember those moments when the Fiend's music hit and something truly special was about to happen. Triple H and WWE's mourning continues, as does ours. But alongside that grief is celebration. Celebration of a life lived creatively, of a career that pushed boundaries, of a person who touched countless lives with his work and his kindness. The Fiend may be gone, but the light that Wyndham Rotunda brought to professional wrestling will never be extinguished. His creativity lives on in everyone he inspired. His kindness lives on in everyone he touched. His legacy lives on in the memories we all share. To Triple H and WWE, thank you for honoring Wyndham properly. Thank you for recognizing what made him special. Thank you for ensuring his legacy continues. To Wyndham's family, please know that the wrestling community stands with you. Your loved one brought joy and wonder to millions. His impact will never be forgotten. And to Wyndham himself, thank you. Thank you for sharing your incredible gifts with us. Thank you for creating something we'll treasure forever. Thank you for showing us what's possible when creativity meets courage. Rest in peace, Wyndham Rotunda. The Fiend will live forever in our hearts. Wrestling vs. Family, I want to hear from you in the comments. Share your favorite Fiend moment. Share what Wyndham's creativity meant to you. Let's celebrate his legacy together in a respectful and meaningful way. If this tribute moved you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to Wrestling Verse for more content that honors the history and humanity of professional wrestling. Hit that notification bell to stay updated. Share this video with fellow wrestling fans who appreciated Wyndham's work. Let's keep his memory alive through community and celebration. Until next time, Wrestling Verse family, remember to cherish the moments and the performers who make this business special. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. Let me in. Rest in power, Wyndham.